From the combined crew of blindandroidusers.com and accessibleandroid.com, it's time for your favorite Android podcast. Kick back now and enjoy another fine episode from these fanboys and gals as they navigate Android from a blindness perspective. And now, here's your crew. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 227 of the Blind Android Users Podcast. We're recording today, Saturday, April 12, 2025. I'm Warren Carr, hiding here in the state of Washington.
And I'm John Dyer, coming to you from Virginia.
Karin Kiwan in Lebanon.
And this is Sadi Kunduz from Turkey.
I'm Devin Prater from Alabama.
Thank you so much. Devin's going to be bringing us our Android journey story later on. Coming up in this episode, we have email clients, the state of email clients in 2025. That is followed by the spotlight, where we talk about some of the newest updates in One UI 7 and all of that. Then we have a tip of the week if you want to know how to install that Google Talkback on your Galaxy device. John brings us a newer, easier method of installing that. And of course, we close today's episode with my most favorite segment of the episode, or podcast or episode, and that would be the Android journey story. And of course, Devin is going to be with us here telling us his Android journey story. Welcome to episode 227. Karin, girl, let's start with the girl today. How's it going with you? I know it's kind of like we're getting into the summer months. What's going on in that Lebanon?
Well, I'm glad that we are back in winter. This week was a typical rainy week. We had some cold weather, and we are again turning on the heater. And it's nice to have rain again and to have some wintry weather. It's great. I always feel optimistic when it's this type of weather. I feel delighted when this weather is there, especially like now after we had some warm weather before. So yeah, it's winter again.
Now tell me, are we sure you like it? Because that song, the weather is so delightful, and you're there with you want to go home, and he's saying you shouldn't go home. Is that why you like it, Karin? Maybe there's something you're hiding from us. Come out and tell us the truth. Is that what happens?
Actually, I will not say anything, because you always take things to a different level. For me, I like winter because I like rain. I like to be outside, and when the rain is pouring on my head, I like the raindrops. So I'm not the person who wants rain and winter to be home like you are imagining. So.
Well, I'm just looking out for my girl, that's all. Right, Sally? I'm just looking out for her.
There you go.
Yeah, so Sally, what's going on with her? With her, this winter coming on there, and how about you?
Well, I mean, here, let me go back to the typical things. Here it's snowing today. It's like April 12th and it's snowing crazy.
I love it. We're not snowing here.
Well, like they always say, April snow brings May flowers.
Exactly.
Wait,
exactly.
was that right? No, that didn't rhyme.
Yeah, it does. Devin, what's going on with you? You're in Alabama. Whereabouts in Alabama are you coming from?
So I'm in, I would say, about central Alabama, around the Birmingham area. And so it's summer weather outside, and next week it might be winter weather outside, and the week after that it might be fall weather outside, and Mother Nature cannot make up her mind, and So we have to be prepared for anything around here.
Nice. Yeah, it's like that. This time of year, it could be like that, and I'm always concerned about farmers because it kind of hurts the fruits. Cherries and apples, don't like that kind of up and down. But it's typical of here. You could have snow in May, so it's one of those things. John, what's going on? I know for us this week was a little school break, a spring break rather, and we were home being lazy and all of that good stuff. Did you guys have a spring break too, or sounds like you were out somewhere? How was your week?
Yeah, I think technically our spring break is next week, but this past week we went on a little staycation, as they call it. We went and stayed in a hotel in Virginia Beach. So we spent a couple of days at Virginia Beach for my wife and my son's birthday. So yeah, it's only a 20-minute drive, but we figured we'd make a vacation out of it, and yeah, so that was nice.
It's always a nice thing to be staying elsewhere, and kids love that, and most especially if the hotel happens to have a little kiddie pool there. My kids usually like that, and whenever we stay at a hotel, we want to make sure that it has a pool. I mean, I'm not a pool kind of guy, but sometimes I like, jumping in that hot tub. It's it's not a bad thing.
Yeah, the hotel room was definitely the highlight for my son. He spent so much time just looking out the window as if it was, we were on the 7th floor, and he was acting like it was the best view he's ever seen in his life, and it was like a Best Buy, a Wegmans, and a parking lot. And
I love it.
Yeah, and he's pointing out all the radio towers, all the water towers you could see all over the place. It's like, yeah, hey, if you're enjoying yourself, this is what you wanted to do. That's what he asked to do for his birthday, is go stay in a hotel. So that's what we did.
That's my boy. Why do it at home? Have some fun. I like that. And that's I like spontaneity. Let's just do something, just because we wanted to. And sounds like he's that kind of kid. Nice kid. And now the Android Basics segment. This is a segment where we discuss the things that power your device from behind the scenes. And now here's this week's episode, Android Basics. Let's now turn on to our Android Basics segment. And this week, we're talking about the email clients in 2025, thus the state of email clients in 2025. I know the email clients are one of those things that people like to talk about. What do you use and how does this thing work? So today, we're going to be talking about some of those things that we like and some that we don't. So, John, let's start with you. I think you're like me. You basically use Gmail, right? I mean, unlike me though, I have lots of other clients that I try now and then. Do you mainly use Gmail or use Aquamail? You use what's that other one? Fair Email, Blue Mail, Spark, etc., etc. Which one is your default, John?
It is definitely Gmail, and it's sad because I'm always complaining about Gmail, right? But I mean, it's always my go-to. I do try, Blue Mail, Aquamail. I even tried a couple of apps that are like supposed to be to make email threads look like chats. They're supposed to like automatically cut out all of the text other than what the person said and like make it look like a conversation, but they're not the most accessible. A lot of things are unlabeled. So, I mean, I am still looking for one that I enjoy using. I don't enjoy Gmail, but that's what I use. It's good at managing. If you just want to delete some things or archive some things, it's really quick to do it that way. The only thing that's a little quirky is when you long press something. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think if you want to select multiple items, you have to long press every item rather than just putting it in a selection mode and then selecting different items. But my workaround for that is my 3-finger tap instead of bring up the talkback menu, that is a long press for me. So I don't actually have to long press. So it's not a big deal for me. But yeah, that's what I use to manage things. And then I've mentioned it before, but I don't type in Gmail. It's I type my messages elsewhere. I usually use like a text editor of some sort. Then I just copy and paste and send, because while you can type in Gmail, if you want to change anything, like if you try to do proofreading with Talkback, it won't work. Like it'll find the misspellings, but then when you go to replace it, it doesn't do anything. And if you want to edit, it'll say the cursor is in a spot where it's not, and you'll start typing, and it just completely ruins your message. So yeah, do not edit in Gmail in its current state. But yeah, I do like reading emails and managing emails from it.
Last night, I was checking something called the Email Lite. So EMAIL space LIT. I think, John, you might like it. It's a very simplistic email. And frankly, I want you to take a look at it, see if it's something you may want to use. And I want to kind of demonstrate it here, live, show you guys. I installed it last night just before I went to bed.
Email Lite.
So there's Email Lite, and let's see.
Email Lite. Search mail. Search mail
So
out of pager.
the whole idea is that you can manage all your different accounts from different email accounts that you have, whether it's Outlook, Gmail, Yahoo, all those email clients and all of that. And everything is on your device. So you're not sending anything to them, but you're using it as basically like a hub for your messages or email clients or whatever. And there's not much to it. You don't have settings. I can't even find settings. I'll be looking at those today, see if I could find any settings. However, I didn't see any because I was a little bit sleepy when I was doing that last night. But so at the bottom here, at the bottom you have that big
On compose.
There's
Button out of list.
a huge compose button on the bottom right there. And I noticed that the composition is very good. It's not bad at all. Like Gmail you were talking about, John. It's very easy to use, and the edit field doesn't jump around like you have in Gmail. So I want you to try it, see if you like it. And that's all you have. And then at the top, on the top right, all you have, and that's not labeled, it says your name or
Okay, in out of list.
yeah, so right there,
Select an account. Warren Carr.
so
Warcare at Gmail. Add an account.
and then
Out of list.
below that you can add another account, but I don't see any settings. The one thing that
Email.
I don't like, sometimes
Detected text W. W.
yeah, so see where it says there on the top, says detected text W. I'm doing this on my Galaxy S23. So it's just saying like my username. That's all you have there. And if you go right,
Search mail. Search mail.
you have the search. And if I go down,
AD.
there's the ad. And I don't find a way to remove the ad. And it's so below the ad.
Keith Reedy via groups.io.
So see this,
839 contact picture button.
and then to the right of
Detected
it.
text K.
And
Doug Davis. 8AD. Find weird facts with Copilot. Discover weird facts with Microsoft Copilot.
yeah, so
Conversation.
the only one thing I don't like about it is that, the ads, and I wish I was looking to see if there's a way I could say, hey, I want to get rid of the ads. I haven't found one, but I'm going to go into the composition area to show you how
Compose.
easy it is.
Compose. Navigate up. Button. Warcare at gmail.com.
That's the from,
2.
and then
Edit box for 2.
if I move
Recipient expander button. Subject.
subject,
Edit box.
and then if you swipe right or you move your finger down,
Email text. Edit box.
And
Email text. English US QWERTY shown.
I'm
Capital
just gonna do just tap
S
random
N
keys, you know,
home. Spacebar. HDYSN.
and then if I go,
Comma.
This is just the state of Android that
Gmail.com.
we have to
Window
make sure
closed.
when we type something, it actually says it. Like that's kind of sad. Like because with the whole keep notes thing, that seems to finally have been resolved.
they
Like,
finally fix it.
yeah.
So it does.
Edit box for 2.
So you see,
Subject. Editing. HDYSN.
so if I
Edit box. Email
if I
text.
go to
Lines. Words.
characters.
Character. Space. N S S N.
So yeah,
FM,
I
space,
think
enter,
you might like
enter,
this.
Backspace.
You know,
N delete.
I just realized I'm
Y
using
D deleted. H deleted.
Samsung keyboard
Backspace.
instead of Gboard. So yeah, this is
Email discovery.
the only problem I have against it is the
Ads.
lack of the ability to remove the ads, and that's a little deal breaker there. But frankly, composition, this is excellent.
Yeah, I think I mentioned this last week when we were briefly talking about email clients. It's okay, to have multiple clients. Like if there's one you want to use for composing, one you want to use for just going through your inbox, one you want to use for going through threads, like actual group threads. Some clients are better than others at specific things. And like the thing I love about Gmail, and you kind of, I noticed it while you were going through this inbox, is when you swipe, Gmail actually goes from one message to another. It's just one swipe to get to the next message. Whereas a lot of these email clients, it's like it'll show you the picture for the thing. It'll have like a favorite button. It'll have like a selection button. Like sometimes you have to swipe 3 or 4 times just to get to the next message.
I don't like that. I don't like that. Yeah, so Gmail does well in that aspect. Not talking about whatever, but yeah, if someone likes this, I'm going to be playing with it. But my whole thing is that I want to get rid of the ads, because if I just don't want ads in my email client, what I mean. So that's the one little deal breaker in there, and I'm surprised though that it's accessible in the way of writing, typing. You don't have a problem there, and so if someone wants to use it, they could try it and see if it's something they like. Sally, what do you use, or which one do you prefer? Are you a Gmailer like John and I, or you go into the water?
I go different side of the water. I was a long time Aquamail user. Well, back in the time when I first joined Android, it was like 2013. I purchased the Pro license from Aquamail, and for almost 10 years I used that one. And then they decided to change something within the app itself to do extra charge for those using the Pro version and those want to purchase the Pro version. They moved to the subscription model, and those who want to continue with the Pro version, they can do another purchase from them, like for $2 or $3, and then they can continue using without any subscription and stuff. So I took that offer, and then my friend Stefan, or if I should say correctly, from Germany, he suggested an app called Fair Email. So I'm trying out Fair Email. It's an open source email app. It also supports actions, and the developer is super responsive if you have anything to add in terms of accessibility to the table. So he's doing a lot of work for accessibility. The app is super big for an email client. Like Aquamail had a lot of customizations and settings, but Fairmail is like 2 or 3 times more than Aquamail. Like you said, the email Lite is pretty compact and pretty easy, straightforward. It has no settings at all, and Fairmail and Aquamail, they have all of the settings. Like you can customize anything within the app, how it looks, how it's going to perform certain actions, in what time you're gonna get notifications. Is it going to be a weekend or weekdays? should you be getting emails on a delay, or should you be sending the emails on a delay, or at what time? There are a lot of customizations in those apps. That's what I like. And if you ask me, do you use any of them? I don't use them at all, but I like to have them.
I do have both. I think it was me who introduced Fairmail to our group some years ago, and I really liked it because it's like you said, it has a lot of settings, but it's very easy to set up.
Yeah,
The setup
it's
process.
super easy. The process is
Yeah.
very easy, and it like guides you throughout the process. What you need to do, what you should avoid doing, and why you need a pro version, why you shouldn't use that. Something like VPN or something like that. It's always giving you good prompts to get the best of your email client.
Fairmail is an easy to use email
It's
client.
fair enough to say that.
Yeah, and it does have settings, but the email light that I just mentioned is something that came in 2023, so it's not been here for too long, and I think it already has like 5 million or whatever. It's like I said, it's a hub for a lot of different clients. Then just like all of them do, really, in reality, all of them do that, just like the Fairmail you're talking about. They don't collect anything of yours. The only thing that it has when you try to set it up, it asks, if you want to have notifications. And of course, you guys know me. I don't, I don't like push notifications. So I said, nah, I don't want that. So that's the only thing that I saw there. But there's no other
here's
settings.
the thing, Warren. I mean, if you're using an email client, you want to be notified about your emails, right?
Yeah, no. If I want to check my email, I check it. Text messages, yes. I let my text messages send me notifications, but not an email. I'm not going to be bothered by email, checking, or, oh, you got an email. Hell no.
What I did for fair email is that I turned off auto sync, so it only will show me the messages when I need them. So I open the app and swipe down with 2 fingers to refresh, and then
and that's what I do.
It downloads the emails. Like, I'm telling you why you don't enable notifications. I'm doing sort of the same.
Nice. Now that's a good boy, because I just don't want that, constant. And that's why I turn off my sounds too, because I don't want that distraction. And what is it that I just heard? If I want to check what I have.
Warren, I noticed in your little demo there was a message from the email list in your inbox. Does this app not support like labels or folders, or do you not have a label or folder for that? Because if you just have like email list stuff coming to your inbox, it's no wonder you don't want notifications.
Yeah, exactly.
No, on my Gmail, I have labels, and so and on my computer I have folders as well. But it's just like this client. Like I said, I haven't seen any settings as of yet, and I don't know if it supports trading or not. Frankly, I'll have to check that out. I think what I like about it is just the composition part. That's the part that blew me away. It's very nice. You wouldn't be missing your edit fields.
Well, definitely it looks promising, but if you're getting a large email inbox, that won't be helpful, I guess, because sometimes you need labels, roles, and all the things. Sometimes you need them going to specific folders. So that's going to be really simple in that case.
I'm thinking it might just follow what Gmail has, and just whatever. But because it's not. It's just using what your Gmail has. I'll have to play with it some and see what it is.
It needs to support those protocols in order to have those labels and roles in your email client.
Yeah.
Devin,
the Prater boy, how about you? Which one do you prefer, or which one is your main email client?
Well, for now, I use Aquamail. And the reason why is because it's simple and it's what I have been using, and I can turn off the star selectors and the contact thingies, photos, and it's just one swipe per email. I can make the conversation expanded thing be like reverse order, so the oldest message to the newest one. And I don't have to open the message most times because I can just have the message snippet set to 4 or 5 lines, and that takes care of most emails. But I will try Fairmail, and hopefully if since the developer is responsive to accessibility issues, maybe I'll finally have a client that has the ability to, when I'm in a conversation, to go when I've opened a conversation, an email, to go from one email in the conversation to the next one, because that's the main thing that I miss from, well, iOS used to do it perfectly and now it doesn't, so that's great. But that's the one thing I miss from those days. But if it doesn't, that's fine. I mean, but it would be nice. So for now, I use Aquamail.
Yeah, so talking about what you were just talking about, the ability to, get most of the email without opening it. This email light, does the same thing. For example, I just open, I brought it up again and look at one of the messages here in our group.
Brian Vogel via groups.io. 8:16 a.m. Opening square bracket. Blind Android users, what email client on Galaxy S25? Both Brians were off in terms of the styling of the name of that alternate email app, Fair Email, 3 period. I skipped the E and he left a space between, and the developer doesn't. The Play Store link is above. 2-Brian degree mail.
I mean, so I didn't open the email, but at least I'm able to get the gist of what's going on. So I see what you're talking about, because it's like Telegram or Unigram. When I'm using Unigram, I could hear the snippets of it, or most of it, or if you configure it to give you how many lines or whatever, so you don't need to open the email. So yeah, it does help that way.
So the thing that that I'm talking about more of is like, so on Gmail on the web, you've got all your conversations, and then you open one and it's got like 6 messages inside of it. And so you press the letter N in the standard view, and you go to the next message. And you press N again, you go to the next message, and it reads the whole thing. And so that's what I want from, from an email client. Not just, the snippet, but if it could read the whole thing, that'd be great. And I really think that Gmail should be doing that, since it's, Google, and they make both the web version and the Android version, and they control the whole Android system. But there are third-party apps for a reason, and I would definitely lean into that.
Karen girl, how about you? I know you're probably a Gmailer, or you're also inside the water. I know Devin likes that water. He's living in a area that has lots of water. Alabama has lots of water, right? Devin, you guys are there on the Gulf and all of that. So, and all the swamps and all that good stuff. Go out and do some gator hunting and all of that good stuff. So that's why you may like the water email. Karen, how about you?
Since I like winter, I like thunder. And I also like birds, so I'm for Thunderbird. However, it's not for my personal account. For my personal account, I just use Gmail. I have the same complaints that you already stated. Both Devin and John already talked about the issues. I like really Gmail to be able to give me a simpler way to move between messages, especially when we are talking about a thread that has several, like many messages, new messages, and I should deal with them. So this is a problem. Also, the text editing stuff that John already mentioned. So yeah, but I'm maybe too lazy to go for something else. Especially that Gmail already does most of the things right. For me, like I want to compose an email, already I do like what John does actually, because I usually copy the message and paste it in the Gmail app. So I usually type the message elsewhere and then paste it in Gmail. So, but I sometimes just type quick replies, for example, and I try to be so much careful not to have mistakes. So I spend like 2 minutes writing an email and then 30 minutes correcting the email. So I try as much as I can to avoid having mistakes. But, you know, Gmail does other stuff like, I mean, it's Google. It should be like, it should make things better. But, you know, this is Google. At the end, they just leave some like things to make the experience incomplete, unfortunately. Because I needed to go for something else for the accessible Android account, because it's, if I try to connect it in Gmail directly, and you know, like Gmail's good thing is that also it supports other accounts. So it's also a great plus for Gmail because it's built-in anyway. So I went for Aqua, but Aqua is very limited, so much limited. I'm talking about the free version. So I finally went for the Thunderbird. It's now still in the beta state, I think. I'm not sure if it's out of beta, but it's doing, like, it's able to get things right. You can just make it one swipe or one message per swipe. So each swipe takes you one message, I mean, in the conversations list. And you can compose emails easily. It has few accessibility issues, but overall it's a good one. It works. And the good thing about it is that when I signed in with the Accessible Android account, and I was so happy back then. I was telling Saleh about the good thing that happened. When I tried to sign in using my Gmail, it was asking me to make a work profile and to have it. I hate this thing so much. But when I signed in with Thunderbird, I was able to see my account, or the Accessible Android account, in Gmail itself. So I'm able right now to check the email there and work there from Gmail. However, if I sign out from Thunderbird, or if I uninstall Thunderbird, it will no longer be in the Gmail. So for this reason, I'm keeping Thunderbird, and it's a good one. So it's good to follow its updates, especially that it's already an own email client. But yeah, I think that we should, like, Gmail, if Google wants to make Gmail more complete, it could be like the go-to solution, especially for those people who are like me, who want just few things in the email client that they are using. So, for example, one problem with Gmail, like previously, in the old days, it was possible to assign a notification tone for each label. So that was a good thing, to be able to know from which label the email is. But now, after, like, since maybe a few years ago, this has stopped. It's no longer possible to assign a notification tone for each label. You can assign one for each account, but not for each label. It's like, I hope that they will bring this back because it was really better. Now we have notification categories, so there is nothing that could prevent this from being implemented. But yeah, it's the thing. It's Google.
Yeah, going back to what Sally was talking, I used to, I got that Aquamail, but then in 2014, I jumped onto Inbox, and I really loved Inbox. It was something I really enjoyed. Google did away with it, and Gmail becomes the de facto or default, whatever. But yeah, I understand where you're coming from, and liking all that Thunderbird, and so we got some nature going on in there. You got the bird, and Devin's got the water. It's a good combination. Thunder sometimes bring water as well, so I think you're in good hands using that Thunderbird email client. Anyone has anything else to talk about? I know I've used other ones like SparkMail, TwoBird. You're talking about the bird, Karen. I really like TwoBird if it were accessible. I wrote to them, oh yeah, we'll pass it to our engineers and all of that. Well, the engineers never showed up. I'm still waiting, and I'm waiting at that platform, waiting for the engineer to pull the train up. I'm still waiting. And then there was another one from some ex-Googlers. I think that thing was called a Wave. And I talked with the guy, and he was excited about accessibility, and they were going to do that. And they were on a vacation in Hawaii, and he's going to do that. I'm still waiting on the platform for a train that never shows up. Ships that don't sail.
So I just have one question. There's an app called, I think, Delta Chat. It tries to, I think, include your chat stuff and emails. So I haven't tested it. I know that some people use it, but do you have any experience with this application?
I haven't tried it. I've seen it, but I haven't tried it. I've tried several, but not that one. And Spark is another one. There's Spark and then there's Spike. I tried both, and as always, it's usually some buttons are not labeled. And I haven't tried it now that we have the heavy lifting by Talkback. Maybe it's something that one could use, but Spark was good as well. But the problem is then they want you to subscribe, all these models of subscription, either monthly, annual. And I just don't care about those type of things. And Edison Mail is another one. It's another good one. But I'm not a, subscription type of guy, pay this much money every month or every year. I just want a one-time payment. I don't mind the annual subscriptions, but sometimes they're just crazy. I don't see me paying $200, just to be able to use an email client. Welcome to the Spotlight segment. This is a segment dedicated to interviews with developers or interesting happenings in the world of Android. And now for this week's episode, here's your Spotlight. We now turn on to our next segment, and this is the Spotlight. And we're spotlighting some things that happened this week. We're talking about One UI 7 that became available, the stable one for the Galaxy S24 series here in the States. And then we're also talking about the Google Pixel drop or Pixel updates for the month of April. Let's start on One UI 7. John, I know you're a One UI user. I love the One UI. There's so many things with the One UI, and I can see why Samsung kind of delayed that update, because there are like 77 changes in One UI, and say what you want to, but I can see why. There's so much in there. I was reading the list, and there are a lot of things in there that I wish we have on the Pixel phone.
Can I ask you something about that list?
Yeah.
How many of those 77 were accessibility fixes? I have a feeling it was 0.
Yeah, well, I didn't see any. To be honest, I didn't read all of it, but I didn't see any
Oh
accessibility.
no! They
unless, of
mentioned
course, they put it-
accessibility. They mentioned accessibility. They
Yeah.
mentioned accessibility in one of them.
Do you
Okay.
remember what it
They were
said?
talking about the zooming gesture.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
They were talking about the zooming gesture. You are now
Okay, I'll
able
have
to
to
do it
check
with
it
one
out. Maybe
finger
they did
instead
fix
of two. I think this is the
Yes.
only.
Yeah,
But
they
for me
mentioned
as a
that.
screen reader who doesn't use Zoom, I don't care actually. But yeah, I saw it.
Yeah, there were no fixes for you. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was looking for something regarding Talkback, John, and I didn't see it because if they did, you would have seen it on yours. And running the beta on my S23 Plus, I would have seen it as well. But,
And the disappointing thing
lots of
also
stuff.
is that so it technically comes with Talkback, 15.1, right?
Yeah.
And on the S25 series, although it's not the full Gemini descriptions like online descriptions, you can do them locally. And of course, we found out in the past that on these mid-range phones, they didn't have any image descriptions on there because they couldn't do it locally. Well, now that this update is out publicly, when you look into the Talkback settings and you go to describe image, there's still no describe image. It's still just icons and text. Even if you're running a phone with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, like apparently you need the Elite to run this Gemini Nano, right? Supposedly, like they're not even giving that to any of the flagship phones from the past, it seems.
That's not good. I mean, because those, whether it's 8.2 or 8. Those are powerful chips. There's absolutely no reason why that thing shouldn't work on those things. I mean, let's be honest. The Snapdragon 8.2, I would even say it's more powerful than what you have on the Pixel 9.
Yeah, it is.
So if the Pixel 9 could do this, I think Samsung is just being deliberate in not wanting to, trickle down stuff. I don't know what the problem is, but that's not good at all.
Yeah, but wait, isn't Gemini Nano available on the S24?
It may be, but Talkback doesn't use it. So I haven't.
Yeah,
confirmed
I
it.
know, but I'm asking about Gemini Nano as.
Yeah, it's very possible. I was just saying they've chosen not to let Talkback use Gemini Nano in those situations for whatever reason. I haven't confirmed it on a S24 series device, but I have a friend who's using a Flip 6, and that didn't get it. So I think it's safe to assume the S24 series also didn't get it.
Yeah, it's not very good. If you're gonna do it, just do it because those are powerful chips.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but I really think Samsung was using this as like to try to sell new devices, and it's so silly because like how much money are they going to make off of blind people trying to buy their phones like with this to get this specific feature? Like they made a big deal about it when I was surprised they mentioned it at all when they released their S25 series of phones. They said, you now have Gemini image descriptions. Of course, it's lame version on device, but they're not putting it on any of their other devices. And I gave them the benefit of the doubt. I was like, maybe it's because it's a beta and it'll be in the final release, but no, it's not in the final release either.
What I think here is not like they are not actually trying to talk about accessibility stuff for blind people to purchase the new devices. I think the thing is different. They're trying to promote accessibility features for the general public, like to tell like the media and to tell everyone that look, we have this accessibility feature, and you know that in general people aren't going to check and see what are other people getting or what's the real scenario, what's happening. Like they will look only at what Samsung is stating, and they'll see that announcement of the Gemini stuff and things. So this is what Samsung, I think, is what Samsung is trying to do. And those are the people that Samsung is really caring to send its message to them. So I don't think at all that Samsung was trying actually to convince blind people to buy its new devices by having Gemini.
Yeah.
I think that it's completely like to mainstream, especially to general
you're
media,
right.
and to like, okay, look at this.
It's more
So,
like
yeah,
for their
that's-
PR image type thing. Like they just want, they're using accessibility to try to look at the good we're doing. Kind of like Google choosing to use like as their Super Bowl commercial, the showing that blind people can now take pictures with the camera, right? they're not necessarily trying to sell that to blind people. They're just trying to sell it to people who are like, oh, look, Google's doing so much good with their devices. I think I'm going to buy a Pixel phone now.
Yeah, well, the whole idea is that we want to make sure that the world knows we haven't forgotten that there are other people out there that are not like us. So we care about those other people, guys. And here's what we're doing, for those that are not like us. And I understand where they're coming from. It makes it look good on them, and also makes it look good that they're taking care of everybody. We're being inclusive. And it's a good thing to do. It's just that reality and romance are sometimes miles apart, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's not that much different from Apple claiming they have Apple Intelligence, and then when you buy the phone, it's not there.
Yeah, forget that. Yeah, so I understand where they're coming from. It's good PR. Well, let's look at some of the ones that come with the Pixel updates, and there are a bunch of them, and improving kernels for things like MediaTek and all of that Linux stuff. We'll post the URLs to all of this here so you guys can read about them. But I'll read some of the things, not going into them, but just some of the highlights and some of the fixes here. We got biometrics fix for issues with fingerprint recognition and response under certain conditions. They always mention these certain conditions. Then camera fix for improvements in camera stability when zooming in and out under certain conditions. A display and graphics fix for issue with screen brightness flickering when using video streaming apps under certain conditions. Make note of that word, certain conditions. User interface fix for issue with overlapping views on lock screen with a clock under certain conditions. Fix for issue with Pixel Launcher when creating a new user or switching users under, of course, certain conditions. Next, we have fixes for different technologies and general system in the following area: framework, system, Google Play system updates. And next, we come across the kernel, and under the kernel segment, the following got the updates. So there's ARM components, Imagination Technologies. I don't know who the hell those guys are. John, you know who they are? Imagination Technologies.
Nope.
No, but they are apparently part of the Android guys. Then we got MediaTek components. So if you have a device that's using MediaTek, and it seems like this thing is intended to support Android 13 through 15. Then we have Qualcomm components, and then Qualcomm closed source components. Those are some of those. There are like 31 things, but they fall under these categories that I've read. We're going to post the URL here, and you can go through that. But I'm glad to see Samsung now with the One UI 7, and maybe my S23 Plus and Karin's A55. Maybe we're at the bottom of the barrel. Maybe next week or next month we may get the stable One UI 7.
Also, I want to mention that OnePlus released their first beta this past week for Android 16. It's technically based on beta 2 that Google released. I guess they released that back in February, because I think beta 1 came out in January. So it's a couple months old, but they have to do their tweaks or whatever to it before they release it. So yeah, you can now install that. They say it's just for developers. They're not really accepting feedback on it now, but hopefully the next iteration they'll start allowing feedback. I've installed it on my device. I don't recommend that you install on your device if it's your main device, but I did, and it's the process is pretty straightforward. I mean, you have to go to the website, you have to download an APK, which you'll use to install the update, and then you have to download the zip file for the update. And once that's on your device, you just open the APK after you've installed it, and it'll walk you through the process of installing and restarting your phone. It will wipe your phone, so make sure you have your stuff backed up if you want to try this. So I played around with it for a couple minutes, well, maybe about an hour, and there's not much new. I'll be honest; it's very similar to what it was before, but like they said, this is mainly for developers to test their apps and make sure they're still working how they're supposed to be. I did see an article that somebody mentioned the battery protection now is customizable, and this is something I like about the my S25 Ultra is when you turn on battery protection, some phones just lock it to a certain percentage, like 80% or 85%. Whereas this, you can set what percentage you want it to stop charging at. So whether you want it to stop at 80, 85, 90, or 95, you could choose any of those, and it will not charge it above that amount. So, on my S25 Ultra, I think I'm using 90. So I like that feature. I'm glad they've added it. That's the only thing I've seen mentioned as a new feature, but there could be others buried in there as well.
I do want to give this to OnePlus, though. They're always quick in jumping on the newer stuff. And frankly, if one is looking for a device that they want it because they want to be able to jump onto the newer iterations of the OS, OnePlus has to be that device. And look at, they're already starting on theirs. Of course, Samsung is just struggling with One UI 7, Android 15, and look at the OnePlus guys. So I really like what they're doing. Devin, I know you have your OnePlus, but you're not jumping on it till it becomes final, right? Are you jumping on the beta, Devin?
No, I'm not. Mainly because this is my main device, and I mean,
Exactly.
there aren't that many issues that make me want to jump on the beta so quickly.
Yeah, it's unlike me, who puts my main driving device, even on a developer preview. And, so far I've been lucky. I think the one that I had a problem with when I did was some years ago, and that was with Lollipop. I did the developer thing where I installed the things one by one using ADB. Some things didn't work. I had to revert back. It was quite a pain, but ever since, I haven't been having any problems necessarily. There are sometimes some calls may hang up or whatever. So these are some of the issues. But so far, lately, I think they've been kind of good with all those developer previews and the betas. I haven't been running into problems. So, but of course, I do have other phones. And the good thing, using a Pixel, I could always revert back to the stable version at any given time should I run into problems that make the device not usable or not very pleasant to use. So caution if you're not having other devices or do not have some other spare devices or have an easy way of rolling back, one should stay away from betas until it becomes the real McCoy.
I don't want to get too political or anything, but I do want to mention, while we're on the subject of OnePlus, it's kind of a sad week, in my opinion, for them because they've tried to release their watch, their new watch, which they recalled, and they were supposed to release for $329, and now they're releasing it for $499. And while they won't say why, it's very possible it's because of tariffs and, being the fact that all of OnePlus's stuff is manufactured in China, and one of their main markets is America. This could be the beginning of the end for them. I mean, if they have to start charging more for their devices, I don't think people are going to buy them anymore. They might even just decide to drop out of the US altogether because, that's, they've always been like the flagship killer. They can undercut people's, prices. If they have to sell, the OnePlus, the OnePlus 14 for $1,300, people are probably just going to go ahead and get the Samsung phone anyway at that point. So I don't know. I'm curious to see what happens when it comes to OnePlus going forward, and at least in the US. I'm sure they'll be fine elsewhere, but yeah, time will tell.
They're truly the price killers. I don't, lately though, they've kind of crept up there too, haven't they though? I don't remember, but I know like a few years ago, their prices are always lower, but of late, it seems like they're kind of like almost up to neck and neck with the other ones when it comes to prices. How much was yours, John? I know you got some discounts and all of that, but I mean, regularly, how much was the OnePlus 13?
It's $900. Yeah, it's $900. But the S24, or S25 Plus, which I guess is an equivalent, is $1,000. So they are undercutting them. If they have to raise their prices, they definitely won't be undercutting them anymore. So, yeah.
Yeah. We'll see what happens, but yeah, I like OnePlus. If I were not using a Pixel, probably OnePlus would be something I would be using, because they're kind of faster in giving, OS updates and all of that. I mean, in OS iteration updates, rather, that they do while others don't. I mean, Samsung has come a long way in doing it, but it's just that this year was just something odd that happened. But yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But that watch at almost $500, I'm kind of thinking it could be, they want to recoup the money from writing the wrong label on the bag, but I mean they could just swap up the bags. I don't know, but we'll see what happens. No one is talking about what the problem is. Yeah, so
it's just nice having OnePlus as an option. Like, they make good devices, and we have so few options in the US. It would be a shame if OnePlus stopped being an option for us. Then it would basically be Samsung, Pixel, and Motorola, right? So
yeah.
And
Motorola is not like a lot
they
of
don't really
people
sell their flagship devices
they don't sell
here
that.
anyway.
No.
Unless you count the Razr.
Yeah. And, so the US is basically, the Fruitvale, Samsung, and of course, Pixel phones. Pixels are now not doing too bad here. You go to the phone stores and you see Pixel devices. So it's really interesting from what it used to be like a few years ago, where you didn't see it in like AT&T and things and stores like that. Or it used to be they were just exclusively with Verizon. But now all of the three carriers have those Pixel phones. So kind of getting some exposure out there when it comes to the Pixel phones. Up next is the tip of the week. This is a feature where we show you a trick or two on how to use some certain feature on your phone or some other feature in a given app. And now for this week's episode, here's your tip of the week. Let's move on to our next segment. And of course, we're talking about the tip of the week. And John, we're talking about this talkback and all of that. And now John shows us a newer, easier way, even for knucklehead like me, how to install that Google Talkback on your Galaxy device, if that's what you want. And here's that demonstration that John gives us on how to get that Google Talkback on your Samsung device.
Hi, John here, and this is going to be an updated version of the process of getting Google's version of Talkback up and running on a Samsung device. The previous tutorial I recorded has become very old and outdated, and One UI has changed a little bit over the years, and the process has changed a little bit over the years, so hopefully this one will be a little more straightforward. I will be doing this walkthrough using my S25 Ultra, which is running Samsung One UI 7. Before I start, I just want to say that this has become less reliable over the years, so if you want a stable version of Talkback more than a feature-rich version of Talkback, this is not for you. So as always, proceed with caution. I'm going to go ahead and get started. The first thing you're going to want to do is bring up Settings.
Settings. Search Settings. Button.
And we're going to look for Security.
Notifications. Display. Brightness. Battery. Power saving. Wallpaper and style. Themes. Themes. Lock screen and AOD. Screen lock. Security and privacy. Auto blocker. Permission usage.
This is where we're going to want to go, and you heard one of the things in here is auto blocker. That's what we're looking for.
Security and privacy. Navigate up. Button. On. Auto blocker. Switch.
I'm going to turn this off.
On. Auto blocker. Turn off auto blocker. Auto blocker helps keep you safe from security threats, suspicious activity, and privacy risks.
And the reason we're turning this off is so we can enable developer options.
Scan your fingerprint. Updates. No recommended actions. Good. Windows security and privacy. Security. Off. Auto blocker. Switch.
Okay, so it's off now. I'm going to back out of here.
Settings. Security and privacy. Auto blocker. Permission usage.
I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom.
Digital well-being. About phone. Status. Legal information. Phone name.
We're going to go in here, and we're going to look for software information.
About phone. Navigate up. Button. Battery information. Software information. Software information. Navigate up. Button.
Once we go into software information, we're going to look for build number.
Build number. AP38.2409.
And we're going to tap this 7 times, or double tap it 7 times.
You're 4 taps away. You're 3 taps away. You're 2 taps away. You're 1 tap away. Screen lock and biometrics. Confirm pattern. Pattern completed. Allow development settings. These settings are intended for development use only. They can cause your device and the applications on it to break or misbehave.
So after you have put in your PIN or pattern,
OK. Button.
just confirm this.
Developer mode has been turned on. Software information. Build number. AP38.24.
Now we're going to back out of this twice.
About phone. Software information. Settings. About phone. Status. Legal information.
And now below About Phone, you're going to see,
Developer options. Developer options.
and we're going to go in here.
Developer options. Navigate up. Button.
And I'm going to navigate by headings. One of the first ones is going to be debugging.
Debugging. Heading.
And under this,
USB debugging. Debug mode when USB is connected. Off. Switch.
this is what we're going to turn on.
Allow USB debugging. On. USB debugging is intended for development purposes only. Use it to copy data between your computer and your device. Install apps on your device without notification and read log data. OK. Button.
Hit OK.
Developer options. USB debugging. Debug mode when USB is connected. On. Switch.
Now that that's on, we're going to install Google's Talkback. This was not a prerequisite to that. You can install it at any point, but we're going to do that next. And to do this, I'm going to open the Play Store. Open Play Store.
Sure. Opening.
Play Store. Get started with Play. Make the most of your new device. Search. Tab.
Going to the Search tab.
Search. Selected.
Search for Android Accessibility Suite.
Voice search. Button.
Android Accessibility Suite.
Play Store. Navigate up. Button.
Then we're going to find it on this page,
Android Accessibility Suite. Google LLC.
and we're going to install it.
Install. In progress. Android Accessibility Suite. 83%. Installing. In progress. Available on more devices. Android Accessibility Suite. Installed.
Okay, now that we have it installed, we're going to connect the phone to the computer.
Charging started. Battery
Click
level
up to move to
80%.
new notification from autoplay. John's S25 Ultra. Select to choose what happens with this device.
And what you're going to want to do now, if you haven't already, is download the zip file that you can find in the show notes or video description. I've already done that, so I'm just going to open downloads. The way I do this is just by hitting Windows key R and typing downloads and hitting enter, so I'll do that.
Run dialog, open, Downloads, File Explorer window, Yesterday group, set up Google Talkback on Samsung, 2025, non-selected, off.
So here is the zip file. I'm going to select it and open the context menu and go to extract all.
Space. Set up Google Talkback. Cut, menu item, menu, reach, pop up, open and share, extract all, menu item, extract compressed, zipped, folders window, files, browse, but show extracted files when complete checkbox checked, extract, button, Alt+E.
So I had the box checked to open the window when it's done, so I'm going to hit enter now.
Set up Google Talkback on Samsung, 2025, File Explorer window, items view list, 1, check connection, non-selected, off.
Alright, so we have different files in here that I've created. They're batch files, which are just text files that contain ADB commands, so you don't have to input them yourself. Feel free to open these files in Notepad if you want to see what's being run. I know I would probably do that. And I'm going to select this first one here.
Space. 1, check connection, 1 of 8, selected, on.
And what this is going to do is ask permission to access your phone. If this did not happen when you first connected your phone, you're going to need to do this.
Command prompt,
enter.
editing. Asterisk daemon not
System
running.
UI.
Starting now
Allow
at
USB
TCP
debugging.
50. Set up Google Talkback on Samsung, 2025.
The
File
computer's
Explorer
RSA key
window.
fingerprint
Items
is
view
3,
list.
not
1,
checked.
check connection, selected, on.
So on my phone, I'm going to check the box for always allow.
Checked. Always allow from this computer. Cancel. Allow.
And then I'm going to hit allow.
Play Store. Android Accessibility Suite. Installed.
Now setting my phone back down, and on my computer going down to the next item.
2, enable Google Talkback, selected, on.
Hitting enter here will turn on Google Talkback.
Talkback off. Talkback on. Allow Android Accessibility Suite to send you notifications. Allow. Button.
What it also did was turn off Samsung's Talkback, as you heard, and I'm going to go ahead and accept this.
Allow Android Accessibility Suite to make and manage phone calls. Allow. Button.
And accept this.
Play Store. Navigate up. Button.
And I'm going to slow my speech down, because I had obviously slowed down the speech for Samsung Talkback.
Speech rate. Speech rate 90%. Speech rate 82%. Speech rate 75%. Speech rate 68%.
Okay, so now back on the computer, going down to the next file.
3, remove Samsung Talkback, selected, on.
This will remove Samsung's Talkback. I highly recommend you do this. It's not necessary, but having them both on will create problems for you, especially when restarting the phone while running Google's Talkback. Sometimes it prevents you from being able to turn either of them on with either shortcut. If you want them both, go for it, but I do not recommend it. I'm going to go ahead and hit enter to remove Samsung's.
Command prompt, editing.
And we'll just trust that it did it for now, but I'll show you how to confirm it later, because it's not running on the phone right now. Going down to the next items.
Items view list, 4, assign volume key shortcut, selected, on. 4, assign volume up and side key shortcut, selected, on.
These two files, running either of them will assign the shortcut to Google's version of Talkback. You cannot manually do this on the phone if Samsung's Talkback is installed, so you will have to do it here if you don't want to remove it, but I've removed it, so I could do it either way. But while I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and hit this. And now I'm going to try the shortcut on my phone, see what happens.
Talkback off.
And as you can see, it is working. I'm going to turn it back on.
Talkback on. Play Store. Navigate up. Button.
And just to warn you, if you use these commands, it will clear the shortcut if you have it assigned to something else. before it assigns it to Talkback. So Talkback will now be the only service assigned to volume up and side key since I just did that. So at this point, you are good to go. If you want to be done, you can be done. I'm going to disconnect from the computer.
Charging stopped, battery level 84%.
And I'm going to show you a couple of additional things. First, how to confirm that Samsung's Talkback is no longer here, and then how to manually assign a shortcut to Google's Talkback, and then how to turn off developer settings and re-enable auto blocker if you want to. Now I'm going to open accessibility settings. Open accessibility settings.
Opening accessibility settings.
Advanced settings. Navigate up button.
And what you'll find here is that
Talkback 3 of 9.
Talkback is here. And unlike in some previous versions of One UI, this will only take you to Samsung's version of Talkback and only if it's installed. So if you double tap on this and nothing happens, that means you've successfully removed it. And you are not able to get to Google's Talkback either here or by going to accessibility services installed. So I will show you how to assign the shortcut. You need to actually go to advanced settings.
Installed apps 16 apps. Advanced settings 6 of 9. Advanced settings. Navigate up button out of list.
So you would go to accessibility settings, advanced settings, and then you choose your shortcut.
Side and volume up buttons. Talkback 4 of 9 in list 9 items.
And as you can see, it's assigned there.
Volume up and down buttons. None. 5 of 9.
Nothing is assigned here, but if I open this, Talkback will be in the list to assign it. And because Samsung's Talkback is not installed, that will assign the shortcut to Google's Talkback. If Samsung's Talkback was installed, there would only be one Talkback in the list, and that would be for Samsung. Now I'm going to go back to regular settings, open settings.
There you go.
Developer options. Navigate up button.
So we're here in developer options still, and at the very top of developer options is a switch to turn it off.
Developer options on switch.
Turning this off
Off.
and backing out
Settings. Search settings button.
has removed it from the settings menu and disabled developer options altogether. And if you want to turn auto blocker back on, you find security.
Wallpaper and style. Themes. Lock screen and AO. Security and privacy. Security and privacy. Navigate up. Off. Auto blocker. Switch 10 of 17 in list 17 items.
And then you find this switch and
On.
turn it back on. I will tell you that in the past, installing an update to One UI has not forced you back to Samsung's Talkback if you've removed it, and it has not disabled Google's Talkback, so that hasn't been a problem. But I can't speak to whether it will or not in the future, but it hasn't to this point. Now I'm going to just talk you through the process of reinstalling Samsung's Talkback if you want to. I'm not going to do it myself, but it's a very simple process. You don't have to connect it to a PC. You don't have to re-enable developer options or any of that. You just simply open the Galaxy Store, find Talkback, and hit install. That will install it. Then you can go into the accessibility settings where we were previously, and double tapping on Talkback there will now actually take you to the Talkback screen where you can turn it on and assign it to a shortcut. After you've done both of those, you can go to the Play Store, find Android Accessibility Suite, and uninstall it. That will remove Google's Talkback, and you will be back to how you were before. I hope this has been helpful. It's been a long time coming. I'm glad I've updated this tutorial. But as always, thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, John. And we'll have on our YouTube, we'll have the URL from where one could get the, the batch files, John. how does one get those batch files? I think
Yeah.
we'll have a URL there. We'll also put that on our show notes. In other words, you have to download those prerequisites so that you're not going through a hard process. So if you want to make it easy, like what John was describing, then you need that, and we'll put a link to where you could download that. I want to mention here in passing something that John mentioned about disabling the protection, that you need that because you want to be able to enable the developer mode. Yeah, you could still enable the developer mode with that protection on there, but the problem is if you don't do what John told you to do, ADB is not going to be available for you to turn it on.
Yeah, and you can put them both back after the process if you want. If you're not comfortable with having either enabled or disabled.
And I will suggest that after you're done, you should turn them both back on. Turn the protection back on, and then you could turn off the developer mode if you don't want it, because you're done with what you need. And anytime you should you want to do it again, you could go through the process again. But like I said, this is very easy, and frankly, I think it's easier than the previous one. Wouldn't you say, John? I like this one.
Yeah, it's pretty similar. I added a couple new batch files for adding the shortcuts while you're there. So you don't actually have to go in the settings and set the shortcut manually. But I also showed you how to do it manually, or maybe I just told you how to do it manually. But you could do it either way.
Yeah, I think maybe that was the selling point for me. I really like that. I don't want to go around monkeying with stuff and just click and go. You know me, I'm a simple man. I like the ease of use, and this is absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much. And now it's a walk down memory lane. This is my favorite segment of the podcast. I'm talking, of course, about the Android Journey story. If you're a listener and would like to come on live and talk about your Android Journey story, but would rather record and send it to us, then contact us via email at contactus@blindandroidusers.com. And now, here's this week's episode guest to talk about their Android Journey story. And let's conclude our episode now with our Android Journey segment. And of course, this is my favorite segment of the episode. Devin, my man, you are here to tell us about that journey. Go ahead and take us down that memory lane of yours, our Android journey, and when you got started and the rocky paths you had to go through and how you felt. I know you had it for a while, and for a while you ran back to the Fruitvale and then came back, and finally something got you back on here. Tell us about that, Devin, would you?
All right. So my first ever phone was the Samsung Sway, and it was a dumb phone, and it barely read out anything, so I got really started with phones on that. I learned how to email my phone number as a text, and how to forward emails to my text messages through texting my phone number. That was fun. And so during all that, I was learning, the basics of computers as well. And then I went on to the Samsung Stratosphere. So I started out with Samsung phones. Now the Stratosphere was a keyboard phone. It had a little pull-out keyboard that and it ran Android 2.3 up to 2.3.6, and so I ran Talkback on it, Eyes-Free Shell, and eventually came to the mobile accessibility, which was a suite of programs, a bit like Keysoft, that ran on the phone, and basically, was a shell of its own. And so that was great, a great time. And then I went to iPhones. I got an iPhone 6 and then an iPhone 10R, and then I decided to go with a Pixel at some point. And so I got the original Pixel, and so um, I experienced Inbox, the Inbox app, and the Talkback version 8, I believe. Well, it was Android 8 when they added the fingerprint gestures and all that cool stuff. And so it was good, but there were a few things that I was missing, and one of those was typing in Braille on my phone without having to download a bunch of different apps. And honestly, at that point, like, I was still trying to apply iOS ideas to Android, and so that wasn't working out very well for me because if you try to continue doing things the iOS way, you're going to stick with default apps, and that's not going to be very fun usually. And so years later, I had an iPhone SE 2020, and it only had like 64 gigs of storage because a kind of government grant. Well, it wasn't a government program. It was anyway. The organization gave it to me, and so I then had an Android Samsung S20 FE, and I liked that phone. I liked it, but again, there were just a few things that like my NLS e-reader didn't work with it, and stuff like that. And so then I got a Pixel phone, and it was at this point in my life that I really I was really kind of getting closer to getting into Android full time. And so I got a Pixel phone, and it was okay, but it was really sluggish. Well, not really sluggish, but it was noticeably sluggish to me. And mainly like when I switched to eSpeak, things were better, but I knew that you know that it could be better. I knew that Android phones could be better than this, and it was a Pixel 8. I'm sorry, I had a Pixel 8 at the time, and so I was also really trying to get into the TalkBack beta program because on iOS I was so used to just being able to update to an beta version of iOS and get the latest beta version of VoiceOver. And so I updated to Android 15 beta, and I was like, well, where's the 15 beta version of TalkBack? And so I was kind of discouraged at the time because I really wanted to, test more of TalkBack's Braille support and try to help things move along, and because that's I've always done that with iOS. I've always um, used the beta, gave feedback, and sometimes my feedback was valuable enough to be noticed and fixed. And so, um, uh, uh, but the main issue for me was the latency, the lagginess of the Pixel 8. And so, um, last this no, it was February of this year. I got so last year I got an iPhone 16, and it's a good phone. It's still boring iOS, and so I mean it just like it felt like all the other iPhones. And so I'm just like, well, this is the best iPhone you can get, and it's still pretty much the same thing. Like it's still like it's got Apple Intelligence, and it's a tad bit helpful, but like voiceover image descriptions are still just the same as they were 3 years ago, and that's just sad. And so I got a OnePlus 13 this February, and so besides helping people with iPhone at work, or getting rid of subscriptions on the App Store, I haven't touched my iPhone since. And so the OnePlus 13 is it's a really good phone. It does have a few issues. The biggest one being the fingerprint instructions are always move up, and so I had to get used to where the fingerprint reader is. But as soon as I did, I mean, that was it. I mean, the only thing I have left to do is to turn off iMessage on my phone, so that hopefully uh, people's iMessage texts go to my number, even though I disassociated my number with the iPhone. Oh, who knows? But I'm just too lazy to grab my iPhone and turn it on and deal with voiceover. And the crazy thing is, after I used the OnePlus 13 for a few weeks and came back to the iPhone 16, I'm like, wow, why is voiceover so sluggish? And it wasn't that it was that much, that it was worse, like, as in grabbing the lowest spec Samsung phone, but it was just like noticeably slower, like, to use. And so now I'm just like, well, I figured it out. I mean, and some of the things that I love about Android um, is that uh, so if you get an app that someone has made, like a Braille keyboard, or a third-party screen reader, like CSR, or you know, any number of things. You can just install it, and Google will scan the app with Play Protect, and it'll it might not be 100% accurate, but you can reasonably be sure that if you're not getting something off a very shady website, that you're pretty well safe. And so you can install different accessibility services and uh, stuff like that, and Google doesn't stop you. And that's really nice because I also play video games, and so um, the ones that I can play, you can play them on your phone, not just your computer. And Apple has even given in and started allowing video game console programs on the App Store, and so you can do a little bit of that on the iPhone now, except Apple doesn't allow them to go as fast as I can, so you can't play anything more modern than a PlayStation. So Android has PlayStation 2 and GameCube and Wii, all these game systems that the iPhone does not have and probably won't have for another few years. And so, um, and another thing, you know, the image descriptions that TalkBack has are really, really good. So if you're on Reddit and you find a meme, I have TalkBack set to if I tap and hold with 3 fingers, it will describe that image or that item. And so it just gives me a wider idea of visual content. And so you can get that on iOS if you do a screenshot and send that to Seeing AI or stuff like that. But I mean, who really wants to do all that? So it's really nice, and my hope now is that eventually I can get into the TalkBack beta program and help out there, and maybe one day Pixels will be fast enough for me to pick one up and be fully in the Google ecosystem, because I mean it's really nice, and I can also text on my computer and get notifications on my computer without having to buy a $1,000 Mac that has an inferior screen reader to anything that's on Windows. So it's just it's very positive without that many negatives these days. And as Braille support continues to improve and image descriptions and stuff like that continue to improve, I think the negatives will continue to shrink until blind people seriously have no more excuses to have all their eggs in Apple's basket, because Apple is just Apple is going to control what they can and cannot do with their devices, and as people with disabilities, we need all the control that we can get. Like if we need our own screen reader or our own Braille driver or our own whatever, we should be able to make that and distribute that and do what we want with our devices, because we are not the normal everyday population, and companies should understand that. So that is my Android journey, and I'm so happy that I finally found a phone that agrees with me as far as speed and power, and without too many downsides.
Wonderful, Devin. Great story there. And you talked about the fingerprint reader and all that gesture. It's one of those things that I missed with the regular capacitive fingerprint reader, because it gave us additional methods of interacting with the phone. You know, you could swipe down to do something, swipe up, or swipe left or right on that fingerprint to do certain things. Of course, we don't have those capacitive fingerprint readers anymore. But that was one of the good things that we had back then. And I'm glad, the OnePlus, made it possible for you to finally, put your Fruitvale device to the side and now be on the bright side and looking at that OnePlus. So one more plus there, and we added one more there. So OnePlus, kudos to OnePlus for adding another plus to it. Thank you so much for this great story. And like I said, this is always my favorite segment of the episode whenever we have someone come on to talk about their Android journey story. This has been great, and all of that stratosphere that you started with, Samsung's always reaching for the skies or for the zodiac or the solar system stratosphere. Then you have the galaxy. So there you are, and I'm glad you are here with us on OnePlus, which in my never to be humble opinion is a great device.
And I think we all learned a good lesson here, and that's that pixels are too slow.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
yeah, I
mean,
don't know.
it really depends on the person. I mean, I don't blame Warren for using pixels, and I mean, I wish that I had the patience to just deal with it.
No,
but
I understand.
I
Yeah.
cannot.
I just had to pick on Warren in the absence of Ed. But
Yeah.
if
I
I'm being
know,
honest,
I know where he was going.
yeah, if I'm being honest, I could use a Pixel. Like, it's not, especially a Pixel 9 series device. I could use it. It's fine. That's enough for me. But I do notice a difference. Like, if I'm using a Pixel, it doesn't feel slow to me. But then when I pick up a OnePlus and I
You
start
can
using it,
feel
I'm
it.
like, wow, this is faster.
Yeah.
But
you can
I
feel it.
wasn't like, this isn't fast enough, So, I mean, the Pixels have gotten a little better over the years.
And
I
there's
haven't
no
used
question.
a
I
Pixel.
mean, Snapdragon will always have an edge over, unless, of course, Google does something different. But in its current state that we have, the Tensor chip is no match for the Snapdragon. So no question there. No question.
Yeah, and I haven't used the Pixel 9 before, so I've only used the 8.
Yeah, but this is one of the reasons why Android is great, because just imagine, if it was all that you had was, iPhone, the Fruitvale, you can change it. If there's something you don't like about it, there's no way to change that. And so you've been through different other devices and finally found the one that really, suits you. And that's what I like about Android, because if you don't like the Samsung, there's another one out there, give it a try. So I really like it. It will be so boring if everything was the same.
So I have two questions. First, regarding the sluggishness. Well, it's a known fact, unfortunately, that Talkback is a resource-intensive app, and it's not really well optimized for like mid-rangers. And it's good that Google is being fair here, and it's not even working well on Pixels, which should be considered as high-end devices. So it's good from Google. That's well. But the question here is regarding typing. You were talking about the sluggishness, and now you feel like iPhone is less responsive than your high-end OnePlus 13, which is good. But usually we suffer while typing when using Talkback. So what's your preferred method of typing? And so, because if you are using Gboard and you are feeling like typing on Android is better than typing on iPhone, it's something that's really strange for me, because actually I don't use iPhone, but like, I'm not an iPhone user, but when I need to, or when I type on iPhones, I feel like those guys have something really good. So I envy them. They're really having something great with respect to typing. Okay, forget about the number row that they didn't know how to add to the main keyboard, but like, it's a good experience. So what's your preferred method of typing?
So I use the Talkback Braille keyboard, and I use a Braille display to type. So that's why I don't have that issue.
Okay,
Yeah, and that's really good.
This explains it.
Yeah. And like I said, though, even on, like, if I use Gboard on my Samsung S23 Plus, I notice it more responsive than compared to when doing it on my Pixel device. So, like I said again, it's that chip that makes all that difference, really. So, I'm glad we have options out there that one could turn to should something not really work the way that they wanted it to. So, I'm glad to see you on here, Devin, because you're a great guy. We just now need to find you a squeeze. That's then make the story complete.
Okay, so now I want to ask you another question. You stated once, I think, in the group that you're working on something like a guide, I think, for people who are switching from iPhone or from iOS to Android. So is this still a thing?
It takes time.
Yeah, but have you are you giving up the idea, or what's?
My issue is that I don't know when to stop. So I I really hope it doesn't turn into a big long book. And I think I've got at least most of it done, and it should be ready sometime. I'd say within 2 weeks, but to give myself some wiggle room. And so, but yeah, I'm definitely working on it, and yeah, it hopefully will be helpful.
That's a great project, by the way. I'm a long-time Android user. I'm not going to switch to iPhone, but I think that it's something great to have such guide for people who are willing to switch from iOS to Android, and who want to have something which makes things easier on them. And here is another question. It's not really for the podcast. Just where are you planning to publish this guide?
Yeah, that.
Well,
Indirect
why
way.
would y'all ask such a question? Of course,
You're good.
Of course, I would publish it on accessible Android as long as
There
it
you go.
accepts Markdown.
I asked to hear this answer, actually.
Yeah. You're great. You're great.
Well,
That's a
it-
verbal
Yeah,
contract, and I witnessed it.
Yeah, well, it will make sense to, I mean, even if he publishes it on his blog, I think the most logical place to publish would be on, our sister place there, Accessible Android, because we're talking about Android. And of course, people come there to ask questions and all of that. And so it makes sense to publish it there so that people will have that guide there. So, Devin, I'm really behind you on this project. I'm glad you're doing it. Because it's going to be a whole lot of help to a lot of people out there. And I know it's not easy to compose or, compile this thing, but no matter how long it takes you, even if it becomes a book, why not? It should be a book, So I say, work on it, even if it takes you longer than that, don't rush it, just get it done. We're patient and waiting for that booklet or whatever it would be. If it's a book, maybe we could sell it and be able to convince a little squeeze for you. Yeah, I'm just kidding. But you never know. People sell those things, and but really, seriously, I say, go ahead and do the best you can, and don't rush it. Get it done. We're
Warren,
patient.
would you
I
be
just hope.
would you be willing to
I just
record the
hope
audio
that,
book version of it?
oh,
Yeah, I
that'd
probably
be
should be able to. Yeah, that would. Yeah, I wouldn't mind it. I'll read it. To be honest, so we'll have it.
No,
but
I
yeah,
just
I
hope
said
that my-
record it. You would
Yeah.
have to be the voice of it. Yeah.
yeah, no, that's what I mean. Yeah, I'll read it. So, and record
I
it.
just
So
hope
yeah,
that my
Devin, do it.
writing is as good as Kareem's.
No, I've
Definitely
seen
it
your
will be
writing.
better.
Your writing
It will
is
be
good.
better.
Your writing is good.
No, Korean sets a pretty high standard, I think.
Oh, she does.
Thank you,
I
guys.
love her
Thank you,
writing.
guys. Thank you. But really, I like what you write, Devin. I follow you on Mastodon, and I check all of your messages on the Blind Android users group. And I used to read stuff on your blog, especially I'm switching back to iOS, and then people would start bashing and like taking things
I mean,
personal.
Kareem,
Yeah.
if you really switch to iOS, I have no words to say.
Yeah, no,
You don't
she's
have to
not
think about it.
switching.
I'm not going to. Unless if someone washes my brain or controls it in some way, but other than that, no way.
She's leaving Samsung, but she's not leaving Android.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
I wish
I think-
Karen will get the OnePlus 13 though. I think that's your phone, girl.
No, honor. If I am able to get the money, I'm going to buy an Honor.
I'd like to try one of those too. That would be
How is the
interesting.
accessibility on there though? That's my concern.
We're
You
about to
should
find out.
send someone to the minefield, and I'm going to be this person. I think. I hope to be.
Yeah. Someone's got to do it, right?
Yeah, that's right. We got to plow through that.
Salad backed out at the last minute, so someone's got to do it.
Nice.
Yeah, I sometimes regret about this decision, but yeah, it's too late.
You're a Sammy boy, my man. I think Sam has you hooked at the bottom. You can't leave. It's like me in Motel 6. In a Pixel, is Motel California here. I can get out. So you and I are both stuck.
Yeah, even the place where I live is literally called Samsung. So what else I can do?
Exactamundo. All good things must end. Thus, it's curtain drawing time, bringing us to the close of this week's episode. Coming up, though, we give you information on how to get hold of us. Well, with that, folks, we come to the end of this week's episode. Thank you so much, Devin, for coming on to talk about your Android journey story. And we give you information on how to get hold of us. John, standing by, give you that information. John?
To contact us, simply send an email to contactus@blindandroidusers.com. If you'd prefer, you can leave a voicemail by calling +1 307 202 9797. You can join our mailing list by sending a blank email to blindandroidusers+subscribe@groups.io. You can join our Facebook and Telegram groups or subscribe to our YouTube channel using the links in the podcast show notes or YouTube video description. And you can find all of this information and more at our website, blindandroidusers.com.
Thank you so much for that information. And that will be it for this week's episode. Looking forward to seeing you guys next week. And from me, I want to say goodbye until next week.
Goodbye. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Have a great week. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Have a great week.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Blind Android Users Podcast. Until we see you next week, don't forget to leave us your comments and suggestions via our email contact or using any of our social media sites. Have a great week.